Shannon Nelson, the boomer grandma with an edge. Thanks so much for coming on the Happiest Retirees podcast.
Well, thanks for having me, Ryan. I like the moniker "Boomer Grandma with an Edge."
Yes. So you have 3 adult children and 7 grandchildren, correct?
That's right.
And so you do a lot of you have a huge online presence with TikTok and beyond. And you do a lot of talking about why millennial parents are frustrated by boomers and vice versa.
Yes.
So get into that for me. It sounds like some personal experience led to
Oh,
that.
well, yeah. So I am, I only started posting 18 months ago, and I did it at the urging of my oldest son, who had done this thing with me that kind of appeared to resonate with some of his followers. So I started posting with no experience whatsoever, very little knowledge of technology, but because I'm 68, almost 69, lots of life experience. And I'm retired now, so my life consists of golf, 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 my dog, my kids, and my grandkids. They wouldn't like the order I put that in,
Right.
but but anyway, um, so that's what I post about. It's just about my life, which I have a tremendous amount of interaction with all of my grandkids, and it is absolutely way better than being a parent. Just have to tell you that.
Okay. I have heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so, there I have developed this gradual and am still developing this awareness of the difference in the ways that we parented our kids, and certainly the way my parents parented me, and the way the younger people are parenting our grandkids. And so I started posting about it and, got some pretty intense responses.
Yeah.
I would have to say that most people recognize that it was satire and that I was making fun of myself, but also, making fun of my kids. I hope in a good natured way. At least that was the intention. But I got a lot of pushback from millennial parents.
Ah,
That surprised me, Ryan, because I was completely oblivious to the anger, resentment, and maybe justified that your generation, I'm assuming, has toward my generation for essentially screwing up the world. So, so, so that, and I want you to know it was not my intention to do that, but
to screw
that,
up the world.
yeah, basically, I'm really sorry, but but I was completely unaware, and the pushback was most intense on TikTok to begin with,
Oh.
but then also on Instagram, and I actually have a much bigger following on Instagram than I do on TikTok.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's because there's more old people on Instagram than there are on TikTok, but
Yeah.
anyway, so that was very interesting to me. And initially, I felt quite like my backup. I didn't like it, but I've come to understand where it comes from. And, the things that I usually talk about in my posts are just the small things that exacerbate this huge underlying issue, which is that we screwed up the world.
Right.
The differences in the way we parent, which are pretty dramatic, I have to say.
Yeah.
Um, the way we move through the world, the way we eat food without really being too concerned about germs, the way we, and I'm sure most people wouldn't admit this, but the way we are very cavalier about washing our hands, and everything we do seems to have the potential to offend the younger generation. So, I guess that has a bit of edge to it, or the way I present it has a bit of edge. And there you go.
Well, yeah, it's very striking the differences, but I liked kind of how you talk about it because you talk about you respect your kids and the way they're parenting. It's just a lot different. So you find yourself biting your tongue, and I think the fact that you bite your tongue sometimes says a lot about how much you care. Because you might feel like this is the right way, but I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah. Well, so I used to bite my tongue a lot less, but then I got my head bitten off.
Right, right.
I mean, the younger generation are not reluctant at all to give me a piece of their mind. I
No.
love that. I think it's wonderful, but they're not so receptive to the my generation kind of giving a little bit back. But yeah, you know, part of it has been just a realization that as parents, we really weren't perfect. Just saying. And lots of the things we did and thought were okay aren't anymore for good reason. However, you know, there does seem to be a little more extremism when it comes to how we feed our kids, how we schedule activities for kids, how we coddle. Did I say that? How we coddle our kids. So I think somewhere in between how we did it and how my kids are doing it is probably a reasonable place.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking because the pendulum may have swung too far, and I'm hoping that it swings kind of back to maybe taking the best of both. Or
I hope you're right too. I mean, I hear and read alarming things about the rates of anxiety in teenage kids today or in kids in their 20s. And, that's scary to me because these are the people that are hopefully going to be taking care of me. But, I want the best for the younger generations. I do in my heart and soul. And I think most people in my generation do. We're invested in younger people emotionally and sometimes financially too. So um, I worry that all the screen time and the sort of helicopter parenting is not adequately, preparing our kids for the real world. So um,
yeah, it's fascinating. I remember. So I'm actually more. Well, I'm Gen. What am I? Gen X.
okay, you
Gen.
look good for Gen X.
Oh, thank you.
You're
Uh,
drinking out of the hose, right?
I was, yeah. And my mom would just say, summer day, I'd say, "Bye, mom." I'd get on my bike and I'd come back for dinner and throw my bike on the lawn and go. So I loved that. But when I think about letting my little son do that, it makes my stomach clench up,
Yeah, I get it. I
And
I understand that.
I don't know if the world is different or if I'm just different.
No,
I don't.
I think the world is for sure a scarier place. There are school shootings and terrifying times. There's online nastiness that blows me away. In fact, a year ago when I was posting, I used to use my grandkids in my posts. And, of course, they're adorable and it was fun. But as a family, we sat down a few months ago and decided no more. Um,
Oh,
just because of well, first of all, I don't want them to be even aware of social media, let alone my presence. I don't want them to be concerned about it, at least not yet. The oldest is 10, although he is. But the other thing is, with AI, all kinds of horrific things can happen. So I think the world
mm,
is a much scarier place than it used to be, for sure.
yeah. I hadn't thought about AI with that. That is an
Yeah. Well,
extra level of concern. Yeah.
I've heard some nightmare stories about what, nefarious individuals can do with images that they take off social media of children with AI. I don't even want to think about it. Maybe it's too much to think that that kind of thing is going to happen, but part of it is that I just don't want my kids to be concerned about social media. I don't want them to,
Right.
like it got to the point last year where my grandson would say, "Well, how many views did the post about me get, gang, gang?" And then my grandson would say,
Oh,
"Well, the one about me got whatever." So, like, no more. That's it.
yeah. That is it's like I have that thought, but I if I'm screwed up, that's one thing. I don't want to let my kid worry about that.
Good, good. I don't think
Yeah.
you should,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not, so I don't know, I am enheartened by the fact that when we talk about cell phones now in the family, there's been a general agreement that none of my grandkids will have a smartphone until they're 16,
Okay.
which, that is very wise. They'll have flip phones for communication. I'm here, I'm there, whatever,
Yeah.
but no smartphones, and I think that's great because the battle in my kids' houses to keep their children off the screens is a very intense
Uh-huh.
and very difficult to win. It's relentless. So,
Yeah.
so I think I think that in a way is bringing it back a little bit to how things used to be, not just giving them carte blanche with the screens.
Yeah, and it goes both ways because there's a little drawer underneath where my son's screen is, and he's been pulling it out and standing in it, which is a no-no. So I'm telling him no, but then I'm thinking, I don't have the leverage here because I actually want him to be watching it right now because I need a break.
Of course you
So,
do.
right?
Yes.
So what is my leverage here?
Yeah. No, I know how
you
you
know?
feel. I babysat my 8 and 10-year-old grandkids a week ago for 3 days, and there were very strict rules about, consumption of, well, just looking at screens. And my 10-year-old grandson is a Fortnite addict. And,
Oh,
there were parameters. They weren't to have them this and they weren't to have them that. Well, I can't even tell you how many hours of Fortnite that kid played, but I needed a break. And so,
yeah,
I get it with parents. I mean, it's like TV used to be for us, right? You plop the kid
yeah,
down in front of the TV, whether it's well, it's Sesame Street, so it's got to be okay. It's
right.
Mr. Rogers, so he can watch 35 episodes of Mr. Rogers. It's all good.
Right. Yeah, and the new Mister Rogers is Daniel Tiger. It's an animated version based on Mister
Yeah.
Rogers. And, but it's so funny you say that because today my wife walked out wearing a white bathrobe, and my son said, "Oh, am I gonna get a checkup because the doctor in Daniel
Oh,
Tiger." So, yeah, he's watching a lot enough to
and
immediately
fair
think
enough.
that. Yeah.
Fair enough.
But I do relate to you on maybe it's because 'cause I'm Gen X, so I'm in the between the millennial and
Right.
boomer, but, I do think the thoughtfulness of the younger generation is great, but sometimes they just get a little ahead of themselves with how far that goes. I mean, like
Yeah.
you were saying, you were packing lunches for your grandkids, and it took, like, 45 minutes, and
Yes.
they didn't even eat most of it.
No, and I think it's like that every day. And
Yeah.
I know there are regulations at the school. The kids are not allowed to bring anything with peanut butter, and I've
Really?
heard, oh yeah, peanut butter because of peanut allergies. It's deadly. You are never going to be able to send your kid to school with anything with peanut butter in it.
Oh, no.
I know.
Okay.
Oh yeah, welcome to the real world, buddy. It's
Yeah.
it's it's grim, let me tell you. So
That's one of the main staples of what
of
I can
my
get him to eat.
and of my diet as well. And
Yeah, me
anyway,
too. Yeah.
but so yeah, that's these bento boxes with their works of art, and I must say I was proud of it. Not so proud when they came full, but yeah, that's just sort of one example. That the amount, like, here's the other thing: the amount of stuff kids have today.
I know.
It's when it comes to Christmas time or birthdays, well, the old farts like me haven't got a clue what to get the kids because they've already got everything.
Yeah,
And it's all mostly junk.
I know.
They're not really doing anyway. So that, just that instant access via Amazon or whatever it is to whatever they need right away, that's also something that's problematic to me.
Yeah.
But I think in general, I know my kids are certainly much more thoughtful about parenting than I ever was. I didn't read a parenting manual. I had a baby brother who was 10 years younger than me. I watched my mom parent him. That's where I picked up all my fabulous tips. I also had an older brother, but we just didn't worry that much about it.
Yeah.
And today's parents are worried about it, and rightly so. I mean, it's probably the most important thing we're going to do.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, like the hand sanitizer. I mean, like, again, it's a little overboard, but probably a good idea to wash your hands after you come inside, but not, like, every 5 minutes, you know?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And the hydration. Oh my god, how did I get through a day?
I don't remember drinking water as a kid
I
now.
don't remember drinking water either. And here's the other thing. I think I might have been thirsty 4 times in my entire, like,
Right,
they
exactly.
have they have to have water bottles with them every minute of the day. It doesn't matter if they're going to the park for 20 minutes. They got to have water bottles and a snack. Like, there's this just constant hydrate,
Yeah.
hydrate, hydrate thing that I think is probably more than they need.
I remember playing high school sports and needing water was seen as weakness, you know?
Oh, dear, that's really sad. Maybe you Gen
Yeah.
Xers really did have it harder than we did.
I don't know about that. And also, I think probably every generation thinks the previous generation ruined the world for them, so don't feel
Well,
too bad about that.
well, I mean, I do and I don't. I am very aware of how difficult it is for millennials these days to afford a house,
Well,
and
that's legit,
it,
yeah,
that is legit. Global warming is legit. There's
yeah,
all kinds of things that they are struggling, like, and then people like me who are, I was born frugal. We see millennials going to the beauty parlor and having their nails done and paying for lattes and all this kind of stuff. Well, what I've learned is that those are the things they can afford.
right,
The small luxuries because they can't afford the big ones.
yeah,
And so, I guess I understand. I had a friend of mine tell me the other day, she was babysitting her granddaughter who was, I think, 8, and she thought she'd give her a real treat and take her for a manicure. And when she told her granddaughter she was doing that, her granddaughter said, "Oh, I've had tons of manicures."
Oh, no. No.
I never had one till I was 45.
Right. Right. Yeah, I see the latte thing's a big one where I think people see that as a waste, and I think there is something to that, but I don't think stopping the purchase of a latte is gonna help you afford
No,
a house per se.
nor do
Yeah,
I. And,
right.
I know there's a lot of sensitive people, insensitive people in my generation who look at those kinds of things and judge the younger people when, it's not really relevant. So,
Right. It could I think it could matter on the margins, but probably not enough for down payment, you know?
yeah, but probably not. Well,
Yeah.
that's when we step in, that's when the
Oh.
old guard step in.
Oh,
Well,
real I didn't know that. I can call you when I'm ready for a down
well,
payment?
you need to call your own.
Oh,
I
oh,
mean, you're
okay.
cute and you're
That
nice, but
but they what if they don't answer? Do I
yeah, well, and I think often enough, one of the things that I've been thinking about lately a lot is this whole issue of going non-contact with your parents and how many people are doing that now. I see it on social media all the time. Younger people who are just fed up with their parents who are like my age and basically just cut them off. That's it. We're done. No contact.
Really?
Absolutely.
Wow. I
Yes.
is are these, especially, bad, for lack of a better word, parents or
Probably,
Oh,
probably
okay.
some are, but it's also my perception because I see a lot of criticism of people in my generation. My perception is that the younger group is a pretty unforgiving bunch,
Mhm.
and and they're not going to put up with any more crap if they feel like they've reached their quota.
Yeah.
And so in my world, I mean, there was no option. You were basically glued to your parents until they died. And that was a
Right.
good thing. But I understand that in some situations, the parents are horrendous. And so maybe it's warranted, but this whole idea of no contact seems like it can kind of get out of hand, right? Like,
I think so. I think boundaries are good, but not again, not overdoing it. My wife is really good at or she wasn't when we met, and she's become really good at setting boundaries, and then if the person oversteps that, she doesn't work, she doesn't feel guilty about and I think that's kind of the key is here's what's okay with me, and if you go beyond that, that's not okay with me,
yeah, I had to
But
look that up about a year ago, along
the
with a whole
boundaries?
bunch of other languages, boundaries,
Yeah.
triggers, projecting, gaslighting. This is all new language for me.
Yes, yes. Did you when you read that, did you think, "Oh, I've been gaslit, I just didn't know it."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. It's that repressed memory syndrome, right?
Right.
I
Yeah.
didn't have a word for it, so I didn't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now on social media, you really get into this using humor, which
I
I think
do.
is such a great, method for it. Um, you do so you I saw one where you were doing 2 different characters. In this one, you were, the boomer and the Gen X, and you
All
were
right.
calling the person to ask questions, and
That was the boomer helpline.
yeah, the boomer helpline. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody
How do you
wants any boomer help, I can
No,
tell you.
no, but
Nobody.
the boomer wasn't concerned about that, they were still gonna give the help either way, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I do, the generational thing is interesting to me. I mean, obviously there are no hard lines, right? There's lots of overlap and even, especially you guys who are Gen X's who, nobody even realized you existed until I don't
I
know,
know.
last year or something, right? I
Right.
didn't I didn't know you existed. And then when somebody told me, I went, "Oh, I think my little brother's a Gen X." And I called him and out, he had no idea.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah.
he didn't even
We
know.
got skipped over a bit, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. But, anyway, the generational thing is interesting to me. Although, as I say, there are no hard lines to define one generation after another. I often meet old souls who remind me of people in my generation who,
Yeah,
I was going to say they just seem to get it, but that sounds like we get it, which I'm pretty sure, younger generations figure we don't.
yeah.
But so, yeah, I like to have a little bit of fun at the expense of generations. And it seems to me the more edgy the fun is, the more traction I get on social media.
Yeah, for sure.
And occasionally, I'll do something like, for example, I did a video last year about how the difference in the way millennials make lunches for their kids and the way we did it. And I thought it was a pretty innocuous thing, right? I showed a peanut butter and jam sandwich in a baggie with an apple, and that was it. Well, I mean, first of all, the video went viral and I got so much negative feedback about how we were useless parents. We didn't even pack lunches. I mean, it just went on and on and on. And it was right around that time that I realized, okay, well, there's a bit of a difference here. And then I thought, well, there's also a treasure trove, right?
Exactly, yeah.
There's lots out there. Like sleep trainers. You guys have sleep trainers for babies.
I didn't, but I know of it. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a sleep timer too. We used to just pinch the fat on their inner thighs, and if there was enough fat to pinch, then we just let them cry. Isn't that awful?
That was it really? That was the test?
Yes,
Because that means they're getting enough nutrition?
absolutely.
Wow,
Well,
okay.
the emotional concerns were, so one thing that's interesting to me is the younger generations are very much into self-analysis or therapy or, they're very in touch with their emotions. In my generation, it was like, get over it. Don't
Uh-huh.
worry about, yeah, it's over. What, deal with it kind of thing. So all of that language and that whole way of being is kind of foreign to me. I'm starting to pick up some of the lingo, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think the just get over it thing, there is some merit to it. I mean, there's I see memes nowadays. One that speaks to that is, someone younger is going on and on about like their trauma or something, and then the other person says, "Sir, this is a Wendy's. You're in the drive-through. I don't need to know all that."
That's very good. I saw somebody posted a couple days ago, and it was a young kid after the first week of college, and he was crying, and he was like, "Nobody told me how hard it was gonna be." Right? It's like, so it's not like I'm the only one who has a sense of humor about who I am. Like it was really funny.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, well, so tell me, you did say you consider yourself retired. So what
Yes.
does that look like for you?
So I'm one of these very busy retired people. I've always been really active. I play golf a lot. Like
You were a pro golfer, right?
no, but thank you for
Oh.
thinking it was
Oh,
possible.
okay. I thought you were. Okay.
No, I took up golf in my 30s and wasn't able to play that much because I was working. But then when I retired, started playing with passion. So uh,
Oh.
I play a lot of golf. I used to play 5 or 6 days a week, but I'm starting to feel a little creaky in the hips and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm carving it down to 4 or 5 times a week. But
Okay.
it's a fantastic source of socialization. Believe it or not, exercise because I walk the course of
Mhm.
challenge. I mean, I know people think it's crazy, but it's a wonderful game. So I play
Yeah.
golf. I have a dog. I walk her a couple times a day. She's like, my BFF. And
Yeah.
now I have this little sideline, this little social media sideline, which I'm just gonna say provides me with endless sources of entertainment. Also, it's been a fantastic learning experience for me. I am, technologically stunted like most people in my generation. So it probably takes me 3 times as long to figure out how to do things, but I
That's
am
okay.
doing it. And it's really very fun and a little bit addictive.
Oh, yeah. I find that too. I feel it, I'm feeling a little down right now. Let me see how many likes I got on that one thing,
Isn't that awful?
Yeah, yeah. I know it's happening and I still do it,
I know, me too. But you know what? I saw something somebody posted a while back that I really related to, and that is that I've had lots of posts go viral, and that's a real hit. But I've had posts that I've really liked that'll get like 50,000 views, which is on the lower end for me.
Yeah.
But I've decided that everything that I put out there is a small part of my big story. And so, I don't sweat that anymore because it's one small part of my whole big story, which is everything together.
Yeah.
And while it's fun to have a post go viral, it's also fun to just connect with people that already are following you and that just that you relate to and that relate to you. That feels good to me.
Sure, and it is weird, sometimes the ones that you swear by that are gonna be the best get the least views.
That's always the case for
I
me.
I don't get it either, yeah.
So I posted this thing a couple days ago. I was in Costco and I picked out this thing that I thought was really cute, and all I said was that I could hear my daughter's groan of disgust because she thinks that because it had a pattern on it and whatnot. And I posted it, and it's got like almost 2 million views on
Oh,
Facebook.
man.
It took me 3 minutes to put it together. It was just no big deal at all, and I wasn't going to post it because I thought, oh, this is ridiculous. It's so
Yeah.
small. And then there'll be something that I think is brilliant and so funny, and then everybody's just gonna laugh, and it'll just like. Bleh.
Exactly.
It's like
Yeah, you work hard on it, you get it just right, and then nothing. It's like,
exactly.
what was that for? Yeah.
I
But
know.
I try to look at it like the victory was posting it. I got something out of it. I
Mhm.
mean, it's hard to look at it that way, but I try.
I definitely look at it that way now. I mean, I get a huge amount of entertainment out of making videos.
Yes.
It's still sort of novel to me. I like telling stories, and there are so many different ways to tell stories. I love the music part of it. I love the dialogue. My photography is pretty rudimentary. I don't have anybody help me with it. I've just got stands. I do that kind of thing. But it's very fun. And I realize that, there's so much more that I could learn, but I've got this limited sort of old person's brain that even if I do learn it, it's probably going to be gone in 2 days anyway.
You have to
I like
relearn it.
I gotta, I so there's that. But
Yeah.
I think it's good brain activity, even though it's stupid
Oh,
stuff.
definitely.
I think it's good
Oh,
for me.
it's like going to the brain gym kind of,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think people in the boomer generation are too hard on themselves about their knowledge for technology because my mom will ask me something and apologize for asking but she's actually ahead of where most people her age are. So
Yeah.
I always tell her you're doing great. Don't feel so bad about this.
Well, I think we're very insecure, and for lots of good reason. I mean, it amazes me. I'll be looking at my phone. I was just visiting my oldest son a couple of days ago, and I'm looking at my phone trying to figure out how to do something. And of course, there's a prompt in the lower right hand corner that I haven't even noticed because I'm looking up top, and I mean, it's not intuitive for me at all.
Right,
So
right.
I asked my daughter-in-law. She goes, "Well, gang, it's right here." So, she's just got it like that, and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
that's
okay."
humbling. I have that
Yeah.
experience too.
It is, and, I'm sure there's lots of things I do that I take a long route and that I could do, and I have I follow this woman who's very good on social media. Her name is Helen Police. She has a site called The Mothership, and she's
Okay.
brilliant. She's a wonderful teacher, and she's got all these tutorials on her site, which is fantastic.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm beginner mode, man, and I'm still in beginner mode, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be in beginner mode until I'm 85.
It seems to be working for you.
Yeah, it's good enough.
Yeah.
It's good enough.
I found so I went to film school, so a long time ago, but I have that inside of me. Oh, I need to light this and do that or that. But I've noticed sometimes the more rudimentary it is, the almost the better it does. I think the younger generation is not concerned with aesthetics in that
No.
way. They want like real.
Authenticity. They want it to be
Yeah.
real, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I've noticed that too. I mean, I had to learn about lighting, but only in the sense that, you want the light coming to you. I ended up having to buy a mic because I can hear, audio very sensitive that way, and I could hear other people sounding, so I ended up spending $30 on a mic.
A little lavalier or something, or what do you?
Yeah, it's a really groovy little thing. I don't have it here, but it's wired, but you can also get them wireless, and it's about that big, and it makes a huge difference if there's
Yeah,
lots of speaking in your video.
yeah.
Um, so I've learned things by watching other people's. I consume a lot of social media now because I learn from other people's things. Like I learned um that a shift in scene between everything you say adds interest. I've
Mm-hmm.
learned that if you're doing something inane while you're talking, like whether you're carving a cantaloupe or whatever, that is compelling to people. Just watching you carve the cantaloupe, even if you're talking about, homelessness. Like,
Mm-hmm. Right.
so,
Action, movement. Yeah.
yeah. And I didn't know any of that. In fact, I did a video today. I haven't posted it yet, but it's about getting ready to go swimming because I like swimming, and I use something called ASMR. And I didn't know anything about that, but it's this thing about how sound is compelling to you when you're watching something, is how it sounds. And I had done a video at the beginning of the golf season, I guess it was in June, about getting ready to play golf, and it was all about that. It was all the things I do to get ready. And it took off
Oh.
and I doubt it's because people are interested in golf. I know they're not. But it was because there were all these sounds. There was the rattling of the teas in the dish that I pulled out. There was the change purse because we pay for quarters, and all of these things. The taking the Advil before I went, and this, that, the other thing, and that keeps people in a video, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even if you're boring the ever loving daylights out of them with what you're saying, the fact is that they're getting something out of the video. So I didn't know any of that, and so I continue to learn. If I see something that I like, online, I take it apart and think to myself, how can I do that? How can I do that? I steal stuff all the time. I steal ideas like a mad woman.
Well, you could say steal or you could say learn.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. I mean, I don't take the actual content, but I take the
no.
presentation, right?
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of people do, we're all looking to someone better to see, for guidance
Yeah.
and that.
And I have to say, speaking to authenticity, I really enjoy something that looks real, that that's not perfect, that isn't rehearsed. And I never
Mhm.
rehearse anything. I'm always off the cuff. And
Mm.
if I don't like the take, then I do it again. I don't like hearing anything rehearsed,
No.
and I don't like putting anything rehearsed out there. So
If it sounds too rehearsed, I move on. I
yes,
just this isn't speaking to me. Yeah.
I've got the attention span of a gnat, man. I can tell in the first 3 seconds, it's like, yeah, nope, 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 nope,
Same
nope.
here.
And then I imagine people doing that with my videos. Everybody talks about this big hook. You got to have this big hook at the beginning of a video. Well, I guess you do because I'm lost easily early,
Yeah.
but I'm not
Yeah.
sure I figured out I don't know if I know the hook thing yet.
Well, if you knew it every time, you'd be a billionaire. So it's hard to always know.
And I also don't want to be seen to be trying too hard.
Yeah. Well, that takes away from the
Yeah.
authenticity or the humor.
Yeah. So here's my thing. You know, here's what I'm doing. Like it, don't like it. We're all good.
Right. Do you find so is this social media thing now one of your like streams of income? I don't know
Well,
how that.
so I'm glad you asked. I have not as yet monetized.
Oh.
I've had several offers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah, some of the adult diapers. I'd be perfect for that. I had a company in the UK. It was an adult toy company, and it was called the Mona Lisa, Moana Lisa. They were interested, and I've been approached by lots of legit companies, but I haven't done anything like that yet. I'm not
Mhm.
sure I will. I don't want it to turn into work for me.
Right. Right.
And, if I have a schedule or like I'm just doing my thing and enjoying it. And I don't really the other thing is I'm somewhat tolerant of creators that I really like doing ads if they're clever.
Yeah.
But I just don't really want to be seen as selling out.
It's a balance because if you do that, then people won't believe anything you're saying,
Yeah.
right?
And to be honest, I haven't really had a clue what your value as a creator is in terms of doing something like that. I did get a very interesting offer last week, the first one that was meaningful to me, that I might have considered, but they wanted grandchildren in it, and
Ah,
we don't do
yeah.
that.
Right.
So I'm not saying I will never do it, but it would have to be pretty good, and it would have to be completely in line with who I am.
Right. Yeah. Well, tell me about your core pursuits. So it definitely sounds like golf is one and
Absolutely.
doing these social media posts another.
Even though I don't generate revenue from the social media thing, it's become like a small business for me.
Yeah.
So, I enjoy the interaction with businesses, with other creators, with followers. I really like the sense of community. I feel a sense of responsibility to my community, and I'm thinking about it all the time. Not 100% of the time. I used to when it was new, but I like producing content.
Yeah.
It fires me up. So I would say I spend as much time on that as I do on golf now. And
Mm.
so it's made it, a very groovy hobby for me.
Well, when you think about if it's bringing you joy, isn't that more important than money? It's hard to see it that way because we're kind of trained to think what's productive,
Yeah.
how do I make money? But that's kind of more important as if you already have enough to support yourself, especially,
Which I do.
Yeah.
And so far, yeah, it's more important. How I feel about doing it is more important. I wasn't sure if I was going to get bored with it. I have a very short attention span. I thought, oh God, 3 months from now, I'll be like, yeah, no, done with that. On to something new. I better learn how to play the violin or something.
Right, right.
But because I'm like that. But it continues to interest me,
Yeah.
and I'm never going to master it. So I know that part.
Yeah,
And
so you'll always have something to work on.
yeah, and there, believe it or not, the learning part of it is really important to me. But also, I've developed this community, and I like it. I
Yeah.
like, and it. There's lots of people my age. There's also lots of people who are younger. I hear from people all over the world. I did an interview with a guy from a German television station 2 days ago, and
Really?
yes,
Holy cow.
I know. And I've got followers in Arabia and in Australia, and I get the odd hi from Brisbane or what, like it's
Wow, yeah.
yeah, so that's gratifying too. And then the other thing is my grandkids, when I'm long gone, will be able to look at it and realize where they came from. Maybe it'll explain a few things for them.
I bet they will love that. Yeah.
I don't
See
know.
to get a chance to see you. I mean, I wish I could watch my grandma,
Yeah, me too. I wish I could just, remember a conversation with her, you know.
my grandma has she had a, her answering machine. My sister
Oh, that's
saved, like,
great.
and we listen to it every year on her birthday, so imagine what your grandkids will be able to do.
Yeah, it's gonna take a long time for them to weed through all my crap. I love that idea. I saved one message that my mother left for me on my answering machine. She died 3 years ago, and I miss her every day. The message was, "It's your mother. 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 You remember me?" Like it was just one of these
It
classic.
was
She was always
harassing you.
yes. She was always giving me grief for something or another. And, so I saved that message, but,
So, do you play pickleball? I
I
thought
I
as
play some pickleball. Yeah, I have to tell you, this is terrible, but the highlight of my summer was I played a game of pickleball with my grandson who was 10 and his buddy who's the goalie of his hockey team. His name is Zach Clunk. Is that not the best name for a goalie?
that is
Anyway,
perfect.
my grandson John got to pick his partner. So he picked his dad, thinking that, strong team, right? And Zach,
Mhm.
that little diamond, picked me. So of
Oh,
course I went out there and played my rear end off and
yeah.
pulled a muscle in my hip. But we whooped them.
You got the victory.
Oh, it's the
It was
best thing
worth
that
it.
best thing that happened to me all summer. It was so fantastic. And the highlight of my summer. I play less now just because my hips are creaky. Um,
Oh,
I've kind of had to slow down substantially with regard to pickleball and tennis. I
okay.
walk a lot. I used to play golf all the time, and I play a lot of golf. A lot of competitive golf.
Oh, you joined tournaments?
Yeah, I play lots of field
Wow.
golf. And I have can I just do a little boast? The highlight of my whole life, which my
Yeah.
kids give me nothing but grief for. So I had to say this to my son. So 3 years ago, I won our club championship.
Oh,
And I
wow.
was the oldest person to ever win it. I was 66 when I won it. So it was a very big deal. And I did something, but I can't remember what I did. I said it, it's the best day of my life. My oldest son called me and he said, "Mom, you had children." I said, "Oh yeah, no, you guys were
Uh,
good. You guys were good too. But that was really good."
right.
My kids give me a lot of grief.
I feel like maybe they got your sense of humor.
They did. And that's one thing I was going to say is that, I actually, believe it or not, I did a little research yesterday online to try and determine whether a sense of humor is something you can teach. And
Oh.
it was inconclusive. But
Oh.
there's no question that I may not have been the world's most thoughtful, diligent parent, but I'd be right up there with the fun parents. We
Mm.
had a ton of fun, and my kids learned from an early age that self-deprecating humor is a good thing. They don't take themselves too seriously when it comes to me. I have people ask me all the time, "What do your kids think of your videos?" And I say, "You know what? They're all good." I mean, they even like some of them sometimes. I mean, I can't believe it
Wow.
when I see that they've liked one. It's like, "Oh my god." They probably want me to babysit.
And one like from them is worth,
Ah,
1,000.
you bet it is. And I
Mhm.
haven't told them that, but
No, don't tell
yeah.
them yet.
No, my kids are totally on board, but I try to be respectful of, well, first of all, I'm respectful of their privacy with regard to children. They have been themselves, on the receiving end of some serious teasing in my videos, and they've just all been good.
They've responded well, or they've been
Yes.
good sports about it.
Yes,
Oh.
absolutely. And even my ex-husbands have been great.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
Those are
because
some
I've been
nice
good.
ex-husbands.
I've
Yeah.
been really good. It could go either way.
Do they make they come up in the videos? Or
Sometimes, yeah,
and
sometimes.
they see this and they
Yes.
say, "Good job."
Well, I didn't
Oh.
say that.
Oh.
Then any lawyers call me.
They bite their tongue maybe, like
They're
you
pretty good. They're
Yeah.
pretty good. I used to get, they would never comment on the video in social media, but I would get a text from with some comment, here, there, or whatever. And generally positive. I think they're supportive. I think most people feel like if you're, 65 or older and you're an old person and you tackle something that really isn't in your bailiwick, um, that's that's a good pursuit.
Mhm.
Step out of your comfort zone and try something, and you just never know what might happen. So,
Well, and that's one reason why the word retirement seems a little, uh, outdated because the old idea was you're done and now you never have to step out of your comfort zone, right? You can just
yeah,
sit in the lazy boy. But now it sounds like you might be more busy than you were
no
when you were
question.
working.
And all the people I know that are my age are doing the same thing, man. They're having a wonderful time. Whether it's
Yeah.
and obviously I know a lot of golfers, but they're also pickleballers, they're, tennis players, they're traveling. They're having said as a joke, I did a video about being a boomer grandma and about how we're too busy to babysit and whatnot. And I said it
Yeah.
as a joke at the end. I said, this is our time. Well, retirement for my generation is kind of like that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
That just hit me. Yeah.
it's like you get to pursue and do all the things you want to do. Like I thought I had a really busy day yesterday. Well, the gardener came first thing in the morning, and I had to watch him do that. And then somebody came to, maintain my furnace. And then after that, the bug guy came to spray the bug. I mean, it was just like one person after another coming to take care of my house.
Right.
And I was exhausted at the end of the day. So,
From supervising.
yes. Isn't that awful? I mean, I'm not rich or anything, but as you get older, you have time to pursue the things that you really want to do. And I do occasionally hear from followers who say, I'm retired now and I'm kind of lost. I'm really lucky because I play golf, and golf is an instant thing,
Mhm.
socially, physically, everything.
All those.
Um,
It covers all those bases.
yeah, it really does. But I think likewise, tennis or pickleball or any sport you bring up, whether you're cycling or whatever. I mean, I also cycle, but not seriously. I swim. I do lots of things. Plus, I am an avid audiobook listener.
Oh, I am too.
Are you? What is your last really
Yes.
good book?
Oh, man, it's gonna sound crazy, but it was about the CIA and 9/11.
Oh, wow.
It's not a very light topic, but
That's okay.
I don't know, I just like hearing about details and how people investigated things and
Yeah.
stuff.
So can I make a book recommendation to you? I
Please.
have recommended this to many guys I know. It's called City of Thieves. And
Okay.
and it was written by one of the producers of Game of Thrones. I can't remember his
Okay.
name now, but City of Thieves. It's a wonderful story about a couple of poor kids in Leningrad during the siege of Leningrad. You will love it. It's
Wow, okay.
funny and poignant, and it's historical fiction, so there's that end of it that's really interesting. It's brutal. It's got all the elements of just a fantastic read. City of Thieves, very good.
City of Thieves. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have an account with our I'm in Los Angeles, so the LA library, and I can even listen to books for free.
yeah,
So, I mean, I have a little son, so a lot of my reading time is like I'll listen to this book while I'm doing the dishes
yep.
or.
Me too. I listen to books while I'm walking my dog, which is two
Oh,
hours a
perfect.
day. While I'm on the road driving, while I'm
Wait, you
folding
walked the dog
laundry.
2 hours a day?
Yeah, she's a lab. She needs lots of exercise.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
So you're definitely a lot of our listeners are animal people, so you're a
yeah.
dog person?
Well, I'm a dog and a cat person, but
Both.
yeah, I don't have a cat now, but I had, my the kids will tell you that our house growing up was a menagerie of animals, rescues and strays and whatever. I don't have a cat right now because I'm in California and there's coyotes, and I
Ah,
really don't like the idea of an indoor cat.
okay.
But I've had a black lab my whole life. This time she's yellow, and
Oh,
yeah, she's different.
I like the idea that this black lab is yellow.
Yes, this one
That's a
is
good
yellow.
book title or
Yeah,
something.
I know. I know. Anyway, so I'm also a doggy person, So I've got my golf friends, I've got my dog walking friends, It's
So
wonderful.
are those your social groups? Are the golf
Absolutely.
people and the dog
Yeah.
people?
Yep.
Oh,
You
that's
know, I
great.
have a crew of old buddies that I hear from. Usually when somebody's died, I'll get a phone call from an old friend. Um, but most of my pals now are golf buddies and dog buddies.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So
Mhm.
this dog is how many? So the 2 hours, is that two
An hour in the
walks or?
morning. Yeah. An hour in
Okay.
the
Okay.
morning and an hour at the end of the day.
And by the end of the day, what's your dog's name?
Stella.
Is Stella saying, "Come on, it's time for our next walk"?
Actually, at the end of the day, she's looking at me like, "Really?
Oh, really? So you're the driving
Again?"
force.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's fascinating. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine my life without a dog. In fact, I did a post a little while ago because people keep saying to me, "Will Stella be your last dog?" On account of you're so
Oh.
old and
Oh,
whatnot.
no.
I can't even bear thinking about it.
Yeah.
No.
No, you still got a lot of time left, plenty of dogs.
I don't know if I'll have another big dog, but
Oh, really? You
yeah.
think it's more work than a little dog?
Well, I think harder to manage, like
Yeah.
physically. And already, it's just in the last little while, I feel myself, I can feel getting older. And
Oh.
my hips are a little bit creaky. Getting up out of a chair sometimes takes a couple tries. Um, don't tell
I'm
anybody
already
that.
making the noises when I get up. The, "Ugh."
Yeah, that just gets worse. Um, so I mean, I've still got lots of energy, but let's say Stella lives another 10 years. I can't imagine getting a baby lab in 10 years.
That would
I
be a
like
lot of
I
work.
like the little wiener dogs. They're cute.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Okay.
maybe she'll be my next dog.
When you so I don't what was your primary career?
Well, I started in the brokerage industry. I was a woman broker at a time when there were none. I got married and
Challenge.
had three. Yeah, it was fun. It was a great education.
Oh, I'm
Um,
sure.
I got married and had three kids very quickly.
Okay.
So ended up after the second one going home. I was lucky to be able to do that. And then I worked part time for most of the time my kids were growing up. Eventually, moving into writing, I wrote a column for the local newspaper about
Really?
family life. Sort of the same stuff I do now, but just written.
Which newspaper?
Oh, it was in Vancouver. It was
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's you wouldn't know, it's not down here. And then I wrote a book about golf, a little book about golf. It was just kind of a fun thing about the difference in the way men and women approach the game.
How
And then
cool.
that led to a TV show that was kind of the Canadian version of The View, but
Really?
it wasn't very good. But
Oh.
it was very interesting. And then that led to a radio show, and I worked in radio off and on for probably 10 years.
Oh, how cool. In
Yeah,
Vancouver?
in
Vancouver
Vancouver.
radio?
Yeah, and so all of the things that I did career-wise, together help what I'm doing now, right? Like, I'm very comfortable on camera. I'm very comfortable speaking. All I'm very comfortable telling a story because I've kind of written it in my head before I tell it. So all of those things make it easier for me than somebody who's just green, to make posts, which is lucky.
Well, was all of this sort of a plan to do what you're
No,
doing now? No, it
no,
was just okay
no.
because you were training for it without knowing, it sounds like.
Yes, exactly right. And I think that's common. I mean, I did many different things, and at the end of it, here I am with these, and I'm not saying I was really good at any of them, but I was good enough.
Mhm.
And now they've all conspired to put me in this place where I can make kind of hokey videos. So it's it's fun.
It was so serendipitous to get you to these hokey
I
videos.
know. It's true though. It's the truth. I know it. I sometimes think every now and then somebody will take a shot at me, like, I guess you think you're a big shot now. It's like, I don't think I'm a big shot at all. I know exactly what I am. I'm just making hokey videos and that's it.
That's sort of the point is that you're not a big shot. That makes
Yeah.
you a big shot. Not being one makes you one, I guess.
So you know what? One of the things that I do try to do with my posts is make people feel comfortable with who they are right now. So I'm often self-deprecating about my body because women, we're all obsessed with our bodies, right? Like I just did a video this morning about getting ready to go swimming in my bathing suit. It's
Oh,
not
you did the
pretty.
video in the bathing suit.
In my bathing suit. It's not pretty. I'm just telling you that
That
right now.
takes bravery.
It takes a lot of courage, but the
Yeah.
reason I do that is so that everybody else out there will go, yeah, I look like that too. Maybe I can go to the pool and go swimming or whatever, right? Like
Yeah.
and I'm not really a huge fan of all the sort of babylicious videos, right? Like, look at me, I lost 47 pounds and I'm all buff and everything and I'm 81. Like those things aren't they're
Yeah.
not my shtick. I'm just a
Yeah.
normal person and I like to feel that what I post makes other people feel okay about just being
Right.
normal people too.
I wish I had a little more of, I feel good about myself because I'm healthy instead of nitpicking this doesn't look good like that
Oh, no, listen, the whole time I'm walking to the pool, I'm thinking, "Is anybody seeing my cellulite? I mean, I better
right.
check my tummy. Are my boobs level? Like, what's going on?" That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to get over it. Listen, in our generation, it was just hammered into us that, we couldn't be,
Mhm.
we had the whole diet culture was just a nightmare in my generation. And I know that I passed that on to the next generation. We all did.
Yeah.
It's an exception that didn't. But, I try to battle it, but all of that negative stuff is still there for sure.
It's so hard. Sometimes I hear it come out of my mouth, and I without even trying, and I think, "Ah, that's so deep inside of me." It was just there,
Yeah,
you
I feel the
know?
same way exactly. There's just no way I did it. I remember my mom saying to me once I'd been really quite sick. And my mother, I don't think she ever weighed more than 85 pounds her whole life. And I loved my mom. She was wonderful, but she had the fat thing too. And I remember her coming over and saying, "Well, dear, I'm sorry you've been sick, but you've never looked better."
Oh, yes. Oh my god.
Just,
So
whatever.
now you feel like every time you're not a deathly skinny weight that
Yes.
you're yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
should
know
be
that I
gaunt, honey, be gaunt.
I know. I don't now I tell myself, look, if I lose any weight, then all of this is just going to be more wrinkles, right? It's just going to be this huge wrinkly thing. So it's nature's collagen. If I
There
just
you go.
plump up, then I'll be okay.
Wow.
So the other thing
Another book title for you, Nature's Collagen.
So the other thing I'll tell you is, actually, I was just out this morning and I saw a friend of mine, and she's been sick all summer long, really sick, and she's lost a ton of weight.
Oh.
And she looked at me, and I've got 10 pounds extra for sure kicking around on me. And she looked at me, and gave me a hug, and she said, "Oh my God, you look great to me." And I said, "Oh, no, I gotta lose weight." She said, "You just be grateful for that weight because one day you're gonna get sick and you're gonna wish you had it."
Yeah.
So, you
That
know,
puts it into perspective, yeah.
it really does.
Well, you seem like you have such a good thing going and you've gotten yourself to a good place. Do you have any advice for other people who are going to retire or maybe they are retired and they're not enjoying it?
Yeah, and it's kind of what we talked about earlier. My advice would be to get a hobby, because if you find people that are mutually passionate about the same things you are, there's just a huge breeding ground for friendship. And so not only are you doing something you really enjoy, but you actually make friends doing it. And, whether that hobby is bridge or golf or tennis or cycling or a walking club, it doesn't matter. But, just step out of your comfort zone and you'll meet people and they will eventually fill up your world.
Yeah. Oh, that's great advice.
Just staying home is not a good no, it's not a good idea.
So the main thing is don't be stagnant. Go out and do.
Yeah, go out and do the other thing I would say is just don't let your light don't let your light dim just because you're retired. I
Yeah.
mean, get out there, try something new. Like making videos for me, I never dreamed in a million years it was going to end up being something, that people actually wanted to watch. And
Yeah.
yet it was. So step out of your comfort zone and you learn something and, you never know what might happen.
Yeah. I love it.
Try something new.
Well, Shannon Nelson, thank you so much for coming on the Happiest Retirees podcast.
I love the title of that. The
Oh.
happiest retirees. I am one of the happiest
Hey, you
retirees.
made the cut.
I think that's great.